Hello, I'm Coach Christian, and I help extremely stressed people to deal with their stress by observing it for themselves. Welcome to yet another video. Um, every single day, I publish a video that's designed to provide you with tools that you can use to deal with any stressful situation in your life. Um, so let's not waste any time. Let's actually go into today's video. So here we go. Coach Christian, I feel so down, so weak, lethargic, very low emotionally, but I don't really know exactly why. I feel so heavy. Life has lost its beauty. What can I do to feel alive again? Coach Christian, I feel so down, so weak, lethargic, very low emotionally, but I don't really know exactly why. I feel so heavy. Life has lost its beauty. What can I do to feel alive again? Yeah, okay, let's look at this. What does it mean to feel alive? To be alive? I mean, someone who's alive, right, is someone who's totally engaged, like completely immersed in what's happening around him. So, for instance, if I am playing on the pitch, right, if I'm playing football, let's say on the pitch, if I'm totally immersed in that, I feel alive. If I'm running, I feel alive. I'm totally involved in running. I'm feeling alive. It's just total involvement, is aliveness, total involvement. Like the plant is, you know, it's just, I mean, you look at a plant and forget a plant. Think about like, have you ever looked into the eyes of a cat? Right? The cat is totally involved in what it's doing, right? It's like if it's resting completely. That's the feeling you get when you look at the cat. Um, it, when it looks at you, it looks at you intensely, totally, and sometimes it's just relaxed, but it also seems to be totally relaxed. I mean, there's a cat at home. You might have seen it in a previous video, but it's a great animal to study. The cat is totally alive. It's like I could say that the cat lives well. It's involved in whatever it's doing. If it's chasing a rat, it's totally involved in chasing the rat. Um, if it's climbing a tree, it's totally involved in climbing the tree. Right? If it's clawing you, it's totally involved in clawing you. And I think, at least with animals, I've noticed this. Like um, and actually, I don't know if that's always true. I mean, have you seen like a dog that's not totally involved, or a cat that's maybe not totally involved? Hmm. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what aliveness is, right? But there are certain things that bring a feeling of aliveness, right? So there are certain things that are definitely alive. So for instance, I don't know about whether the cat is always involved, but there are certain moments like when the cat is looking at you intensely. Not that it wants to attack, it's just looking at you totally. That's a moment of aliveness. At least we can say that. I don't know if that's what aliveness is, but we do have moments of aliveness, right? And that's moments of focus, just intense focus. I'm not talking about concentration. Concentration is also a moment of aliveness. I agree. Like when you totally focus on something. Yes, that's also a moment of aliveness. The only thing is that concentration is hard. It's like, have you ever tried to read a book for let's say to read like a very intense philosophical paper or a book, you'll notice that, I mean, you'll do that, but it's very tiring to be totally focused that much. Eventually you get tired and your thoughts wander, right? So it's a form of aliveness concentration, but it's so limited, you know. I mean, it's so intense you can't sustain it for a long time. And then there's another type of aliveness, which is not, it's not concentration. You're not focused on any one particular thing, but it's also alive. You're also alive because you're just allowing yourself to go with the kind of flow with the moment, right? So if I'm seated here and a thought comes into my mind, I see that thought. And then all of a sudden there's the sound of a truck running by the village. I can hear the truck running by. And then maybe at some point there's like lightning. I see the lightning. There's thunder. I feel the thunder. This is also aliveness. This one is not concentration. It doesn't deplete you of energy. It's a relaxed state where you're totally accepting of everything, right? So this is also aliveness, right? So you're right. This is true. I mean, someone mentioned it, and I've paid attention, and it seems true. Like, things like depression, sadness, they're a form of death. I think about it. When you're depressed, your head is down, your shoulders are hunched over, you're just walking. It's like, you know, your body is so heavy. This is like really death. It's a form of, it's like kind of, in a way, you're actually telling the body that you don't want to, or it's like you don't want to live anymore. Just the depressed state. Just, oh man, just contracted, looking down, feeling heavy. All that is, it's death. It's definitely not alive. I agree with the question there. It's not an alive state. Um, and sometimes you can feel depressed and sad because you are triggered by a particular event. Maybe you had a plan. Maybe you had something you wanted to achieve, some goal you wanted to achieve, but the goal didn't happen. Maybe you tried to sell a product in your business and nobody's buying, that can make you feel depressed. So those are events. Or you're a student and you failed a test, that makes you feel depressed or sad or low, right? Those are feelings that are triggered by a particular event. But have you ever had a sadness where you can't really, there's no particular event, you're just sad, you're depressed? This is what the question is talking about. You just feel heavy, you're walking slow, you just feel like you don't have any energy left. You're not physically sick. You're not like, there's no illness going on here. You just feel so heavy, don't want to live anymore, like you don't the excitement of life has just gone away from you, right? So this is different. It's not triggered by an event. Right? So the question is, well, I mean, what do I do with such a thing? So the only tool I've had that works that does is that gives me a certain sense of aliveness, alertness. Um, for me has been to bring certain moments of aliveness into the day. So, for example, I mean, one thing I had noticed before, there was a time when I never used to do, like when, so when I never used to do any observation at all, right? So, like right now, every single day, at least I have to spend some time just seated, observing what's happening within me, right? But there was a time before when I didn't do that kind of stuff, right? I didn't meditate, I didn't observe. There was a time like that, and it had been pretty much the entire part of my life, because I was raised in a Christian background, and in the Christian background, we're not really taught about meditation. We're taught about salvation, going to heaven. Not really. We're not taught about. In fact, meditation is considered to be somehow evil, right, or wrong or demonic, right? So obviously, I didn't do any of this stuff. But of course, I noticed a marked difference in myself when I began to do a form of just, I could just call it a form of observation. There was one time in college where I decided I think it was for a period of about 3 months. I would get out of the house and take a walk for an hour. And during that hour, I didn't listen to any audiobook, no radio, didn't talk to anybody. And my job was to notice every single time I get lost in thought to bring myself back, to pay attention to what was happening to me. So I'd pass by some semi forested area, and sometimes I'd get distracted and I'd pull my thoughts back. Or I'd be walking like by a place where like people were practicing tennis at the college, others were playing soccer, others were lifting weights. My thoughts would drift, and then I'd come back, right? And I mean, I did this every single day for an hour, and there was just a market difference, right? So, again, I felt alive, you know? It's like a sharpness, a certain sharpness came back, you know, a certain liveliness came back. I was certainly not walking like this, you know, just like depressed, getting ready to die, right? And it wasn't really just the walking, but this is again, I think I've talked a lot about observation in these YouTube videos, and I've always talked about them as you're observing in order to get a deeper understanding of your own suffering. This is right. There's also another aspect to observation that I haven't mentioned, but that I've also begun to realize that observation makes you feel alive. When you observe, you are alive, you know. So if you're feeling kind of dead inside, depressed, sad, then you want to bring observation into the picture, right? So for me, what I do is spend time observing. Every single day I spend some time observing, right? So I might sit down for 30 minutes, an hour. A while back it was like 2 hours, even 3 hours. Just sit and pay attention to what's happening within me, right? I set aside a specific time to do that. And when I do these meditations consistently, I feel alive. And when I stop doing them, I stop feeling alive. Life becomes too heavy, you know. The kind of life loses meaning, you know. It's like begin to wonder, why the heck am I here? It's like the observation is taking me away from the edge. That's another benefit that it has, right? So, but you might say, look, I'm a Christian man. I've never like sat down, right? So what I do is sit down with back straight and eyes closed and just observe, right? So you might say, Christian, I've never done this. Like, there's no way I could sit still for an hour or 2 hours, right? I've done 4 hours before too. It's quite huge amount. But you might say it's not possible. I can't do that. I totally understand because I was in your shoes also, right? The first time I closed my eyes to meditate, actually, I just closed my eyes to observe what was happening. The first time I did that, I quickly opened my eyes and ran away. I was so scared. I felt like, what am I doing? Like, I'm emptying my mind. What is this? What if, like, I don't know, a monster comes in and takes over? What if, because I was raised in an African background. So, in my particular background, they used to tell us a lot about ghosts and evil spirits and meditation and how that's bad, all these sorts of things, and how about the devil. So I was full of fear, right? Still am, right? At that time, the fear was so acute. When I closed my eyes, it was just such a new experience. Like, what am I doing? What's going to happen? Will I be taken over by some spirit? I was so scared. So I just opened my eyes and ran away. Went to the dining hall to eat or something. Just forget this event. But the more I did it, the less scary it became because it became normal. Right now, it's normal for me to sit down, close my eyes, and do absolutely nothing. Right? The fear of that has really subsided, right? Because after doing it, I realized I'm still alive. And funny thing is, this activity that I've been told not to do, or that I was so afraid of, is actually making me feel alive, right? So you can't do it. And the process I use is the way I do it is I don't want to make it forceful. So I start with a small amount. I could just sit down, close my eyes, and do this for 2 minutes. Okay, I mean, 2 minutes is such a short period of time that there's no resistance, right? Once I've done 2 minutes for a while, then I can add a little more, maybe 5 minutes. Once I'm comfortable with five, I can add five more, 10. And as I continue to add like this, I'm able to do an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, that sort of thing. And I've noticed, I'm not saying you should do that much. Actually, based on my own observations, if you're able to carve out a day, an hour every single day, where you just sit down with your back straight. Um, if you can't do your back straight, it's okay. You could put your back, lean your back against a chair, eyes closed, and just observe what's happening within you. Look, if you can do that for an hour every single day, you'll feel a certain, especially if this is not something you normally do. The first day you'll notice no difference, but after a period of a week, 2 weeks, you'll begin to notice the side effects, right? You'll begin to feel alive again. Your mind will be sharp, right? You'll be just so alert. It's so way more alert than you've ever been. Right? Certain joy of living, right? This it's like a certain balance is restored, where you don't fall so low into these deep depressive states. You might fall into them, but you get out quickly, right? So this is one other power of observation that I haven't really mentioned, is that it just gives you a sense of aliveness and balance, right? It's kind of like well, what can I say? Like, for instance, if let's say you play a game like let's soccer, right? If you play soccer, there's a certain amount of conditioning you do in order to be able to play, right? You have to jog a bit, do a couple of push-ups, no, no, maybe not push-ups, but you maybe jog a bit, maybe you jump a little up and down, you do a couple of drills. Those drills are supposed to give you the foundation, right? They kind of it's a form of conditioning that prepares you to be able to play at your best, right? If you don't do these warm ups and you just go into playing, you feel kind of tight, stiff, all the muscles are stiff, right? A certain exercise has to be done, certain amount of running, jumping is done to a little warm up. Maybe you kick the ball, shoot a few balls into the goal just to warm up the muscles, and then now the body is ready to play at its best. Just as there's such a warm up for sports, there's also a warm up for like the system, the system, which is your mind and body. There's a warm up that you do, and the warm up is observation, where you just sit down and you observe your thoughts. This is one warm up. I'm sure there's others. I think there are others, but this is one warm up you can do. Is every day dedicate time. Start with what you can. Ideally, I recommend at least an hour every single day. You sit down, back straight, to be as alert as possible, eyes closed, and just observe what's happening. So this process is going. Just let whatever thought comes. Let whatever you feel in the body happen. Just observe what's happening. And if you do this, this is going to. It's the equivalent of warming up in sports, right? It's just going to warm in. Not that you're going to feel heat, but it's just going to return a certain balance and a certain sharpness, right? If your thinking level will be increased, you'll be sharper, more sensitive, more capable to notice small differences, more creative in your ability to solve problems. So this is a very powerful tool. Another reason why observation is so powerful. All right, look, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification. Ding, 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 ding. That way you'll be notified whenever I publish a new video. Now, every single day I publish a video, and as I mentioned before, the video is designed to provide you with tools to deal with any stressful situation in your life, right? So, look, if you have any comment or question, please add it in the comment section below. Obviously, I want to know what you're thinking, right? That way I can make videos that serve you. And also, if you ask a question, it's likely that I'm going to get that question and I may answer it in a forthcoming video. Now, if this idea intrigues you about observation, like just observing thoughts, observing your emotions, paying attention to what's happening, just giving yourself a certain type of balance to solve problems, well, then I have a tool for that, right? You may also be interested in maybe using this tool of observation to solve actual practical problems in your life. And if that's something that's of interest to you, you just there's a link called the Observe Approach. Click on that, and you'll get free and instant access to a simple but very powerful method that you can apply right now to help you deal with any problem that's stressing you out. Um, so I mean, I have some videos related to this, so I'll add them in the description. If you go to the description, you may find other videos that are related to this topic of, I'm just feeling so low, I'm just feeling so down, and how do I get out of it? How do I feel alive again? Right? So If you click below, you can find that. If you look at the videos below, you can find information that will help you. Otherwise, look, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye.